Okay, now that we went through the 5 steps that we need to take in order to solve a problem that is a decimal divided by a decimal, now that we went through the steps and we took notes, it's time to do 3 more examples. So what I need you to do is I need you to pause the video and get out your packet and turn to the page that says decimal divisors at the top. That is today's lesson, and you will see 4 examples. 3 of them we are going to do together. So pause the video and find this page. Okay, now that you've found the page, let's go through these examples. So our first example is 54 divided by 0.9. So the very first thing we need to do is to set our division problem up in the proper format. So we're going to do 54 divided by 0.9. Now we can go through our steps on dividing a decimal by a decimal. So first, everyone look at the divisor. Okay. Tell me out loud how many times we need to move the decimal point to the right in order to make it a whole number. If you said 1, you are correct. We move it over 1 spot to make it 9. So what we do to our divisor, we have to do to our dividend. Okay, an easy way to remember this is what we do to one side of the line, we have to do to the other side. So if 54, we know our decimal point is at the end of the whole number, and we are going to move it 1 to the right. And to fill in the blank, we're going to add a 0. Okay. So now let's rewrite our problem. 9, and then we're going to do 540. So our new division problem, after we did steps 1 and 2, is now we have 540 divided by 9. Our next step is to move up the decimal point. So our decimal point is at the end of our whole number, so let's move it up here. And now step 5 is to solve. How many times does 9 go into 5? 0. How many times does 9 go into 54? Well, let's think. Well, 9 times 6 is 54. So we can do 6 up here. 54. Now we subtract. 4 minus 4 is 0. 5 minus 5 is also 0. We carry down our 0. How many times does 9 go into 0? 0 times. 0 minus 0 is 0, so we're good. We have no remainder left. Our decimal point is up here. We're good. So what's our answer? Our answer is 60. So 54 divided by 0.9 is 60. Okay, so write this on your paper, and then we'll go to example 2. Again, let's write it in the correct format before we do anything. So 80.5 divided by 0.05. This pen is not easy to write with, so no one make fun of my writing. So step 1 is to make the divisor a whole number. So how many times do we have to move the decimal point to the right to make 0.05 a whole number? Well, let's see. 1, 2. We have to move it 2 times. And so what you do to the divisor in step 1, in step 2, you have to do to the dividend. So let's move our decimal point 2 times. 1, 2. And we know that because this is an empty spot, we are going to put a 0 there to fill that gap. So now let's rewrite our problem. So the whole number is 5. All right, so now we have 8,050 divided by 5. So we did step 1, make the divisor a whole number by moving the decimal point. Then we moved the dividend decimal point the same amount of times. In this case, it was 2 times. And then step 3, we rewrote our problem. Okay. Now, step 4, we moved the decimal point up. So decimal point's there because it's a whole number at the end. So we move it up. And then step 5 is solve. How many times does 5 go into 8? 1 time. So 5 minus 8 is 3. Bring down our 0. How many times does 5 go into 30? 6 times, right? Because 6 times 5 is 30, which gives us 0. Then we carry down our 5, bring down our 5. How many times does 5 go into 5? 1 time, correct. 1 times 5 is 5. Okay, so that leaves us with 0. Bring down the 0. Okay. How many times does 5 go into 0? 0 times. So here is our answer, 1,610. So 80.5 divided by 0.05 is 1,610. Did you write your answer down? All right, let's go to our third and final example. All right, we are not going to do example 4. I will explain on Monday why not. Okay. All right, so we have 12.88 divided by 1.4. So let's put it in the proper format. So 12.88 divided by 1.4. Okay. So let's go through our steps again. Step 1, look at our divisor and determine how many times we move the decimal point to make it a whole number. We move the decimal point 1 time, that becomes 14. We do the same thing to our dividend. So we move that 1 time as well. Okay. Step 3, rewrite our problem. So 14, now our divisor is a whole number. And we go 128.8 because we moved the decimal place over 1 on both sides. Step 4, move up the decimal point. You see how they're lined up. Step 5, solve. How many times does 14 go into 1? 0 times. How many times does 14 go into 12? 0 times. How many times does 14 go into 128? Okay, so again, you can do multiplication to determine this. You could do repeated addition, right? You do 14 plus 14 plus 14 until you get to a number that's close to 128 before going over. Okay. If you do either of those, you will determine that 9 times 14 is 126. 8 minus 6 is 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. 1 minus 1 is 0. We carry down our 8. Then we determine how many times does 14 go into 28. If we do our repeated addition or we do our multiplication, we will determine that 14 goes into 28 2 times. 2 times 14 is 28. So that will give us 0 left over. So we have our answer as 9.2. So 12.88 divided by 1.4 is 9.2. So make sure that all three of these examples, as I modeled how to divide a decimal by a decimal, make sure you put these examples, you write them in on your worksheet so you can use them also as a reference as you work through the rest of this packet. Here is what I want you to do that for your work that is due on Monday. Okay. I want you to do all the partner practice. Okay, I want you to do all 4 questions for the partner practice. And for the independent practice, okay, I want you to do numbers 1 through 12. Okay. Again, you are going to do all the partner practice questions, and you're going to do questions 1 through 12 for the independent practice. If you want to do the challenge for extra credit, then go for it. But it's optional. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I can assist you as you work.